I'm Laura Ingraham. This is Ingraham Angle from New York City. Thanks for joining us. Now, Democrats and liberals, they've been flopping in primetime television for years. It's always the same, right? It's misleading information, vicious innuendo, attempts to connect the dots that never quite pay off. The drumbeat, constant drumbeat of demonization and distraction. It's neither entertaining nor edifying. It's just bad programming. Now, tonight began with Chair Benny Thompson captivating a very small audience at the January 6th hearing on Capitol Hill with what ended up being a 12-minute snooze fest that was very heavy on rhetoric.
The President of the United States trying to stop the transfer of power, a precedent that had stood for 220 years, even as our democracy had faced its most difficult tests.
I get it. So now Benny Thompson cares about the transfer of power and making sure it works okay? Remember, he's the same Benny Thompson who voted against certifying George W. Bush's election win. And by the way, I'm not even talking about the 2000 recount. We're talking about 2004, okay? And the blowhard of the evening award goes to Liz Cheney. Now, if you thought her interviews were rough to watch, a little soporific when it was off-the-cuff stuff, try watching her for 34 uninterrupted minutes of screen reading.
Our oath to defend the United States Constitution, and that oath must mean something. Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
In the end, this was nearly 2 hours of an unsuccessful, laborious attempt to connect the dots back to Trump. So Trump to a coup that never happened. Now we know why the press has been publicly fretting after watching this, worried that Americans wouldn't tune in to this January 6th extravaganza.
Because you've got a largely distracted audience. You've got people concerned with everyday issues. Will the American public be tuned in?
It's crazy that the House panel has to find a way to make this horrific attack on our democracy interesting and important to many Americans. But that's where we are.
People aren't tuning in to watch what Democrats hope will be this extremely persuasive argument. Is that going to change any minds and influence people?
Democrats always flop in prime time, okay? It's just a given. Remember, this is not Americans not caring about democracy. It's that Americans don't believe that democracy was truly, really at risk on January 6th. There was no possibility that anything that happened at that riot, which we spoke against vociferously that night, and I did in tweets that day, that riot on Capitol Hill would have undermined the results of the election. There wasn't a single serious person in D.C. who believed that Biden wasn't going to be sworn in as president on January 20th after that insurrection that wasn't. Everyone knows what a coup is. Guns, standoffs, maybe hostages taken, hostile forces grabbing the reins of power. It goes on for a little bit more than 2 hours, doesn't it? Well, none of that happened here. Violence, yes. Criminality, yes, you bet. But a coup? An insurrection? That's about as believable as Biden's new line that this economy is the strongest ever since World War II. Now, Buffalo guy with the horns and all of his friends, they break into the Capitol, and we're supposed to believe then Trump would suddenly be sworn in as president? Now, with Watergate, you think about Watergate, Nixon ordered a break-in of the DNC, then Nixon used that information to try to get elected. You could make sense of that narrative. But this narrative, the one that Cheney is so locked on to reading that screen, was that these people, this ragtag group of people, were threatening the entire foundation of our representative democracy? That's ludicrous. The fact is, their people commit violence and riot all the time. Here, the Democrats needed to try to differentiate their own protests from what happened on January 6th, so they needed to say doing this meant democracy was on the line. How does a guy putting his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk put democracy at risk? The final electoral votes were certified that night, as they should have been. Meanwhile, their freaks actually want to kill a Supreme Court justice. They shot Steve Scalise, and they're trying to intimidate justices right now. Today, protests at their homes, trying to frighten their children even, which is illegal. And instead of using a late-night appearance to condemn all of these acts, the president only fanned the flames over Roe.
It's clear that if, in fact, the decision comes down the way it does and these states impose the limitations they're talking about, it's going to cause a mini revolution. They're going to vote a lot of these folks out of office.
Wait. Was this the guy who's worried about ending democracy or threats to democracy? And he's warning about a revolution? What is that message to the court? Watch out, a revolution's coming if you vote the wrong way. He's the president. But he didn't stop there.
I understand that argument, but also it's like you're playing Monopoly with somebody who, won't pass go and won't follow any of the rules. And how do you ever make any progress if they're not following the rules?
Well, you got to send them to jail, There's that little box.
That's funny. Now, for a man, again, professes to be so concerned about the pillars of democracy crumbling before our eyes, he has no hesitation whatsoever, even laughing about it, stoking both a mini revolution and putting his political opponents in jail, threatening that. Now, last time I checked, those were kind of the acts or the wishes or the statements of a dictator or even an insurrectionist.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.